Back in the 2000s, Linux was already insanely popular on servers. Nowadays, it's insanely popular on servers, Internet of Things devices, smartwatches, smartphones, and let's not forget it powers almost all cloud services. But it takes a while to learn Linux. So you might be wondering, is it worth the effort to learn how to use it? Is it a good career choice? What can it do for you financially? Will you enjoy a job in this area? Short answer, Linux does open up a lot of doors for your career, and skills in this area are quite well paid. Let's look at the top 5 reasons why we think Linux is a good career path. Firstly, Linux is elegantly simple and easy to use. Now this is a controversial point of view. Most people feel that Linux is complicated. At least they feel that way the first few times they try it. So why am I saying the opposite? Well, first of all, I want to encourage the people that felt intimidated the first time they tried Linux. It's not easy to learn how to use it, but it's not hard either. It's somewhere in the middle. It takes some time to get accustomed to, but it's not rocket science. It's just like learning to ride a bike. You fall off a few times, but try and try again, and you get the hang of it. No amount of theory is going to teach you how to ride a bike until you actually get on that bike. And at KodeKloud, we believe the same is true for learning how to manage servers and use Linux. Theory alone is boring, hard to understand, hard to remember, but combine theory and a lot of practice and it can be fun and easy to learn. That's why we developed a very practical course about Linux. Everything that you see in that course you can immediately try yourself. We have easy to understand videos, and then those are followed by online labs where you can test your newly acquired knowledge. As you do real things, install web servers, database servers, configure Linux networks, use Docker containers, we guarantee you will learn fast. Now let's get back to this wild claim that Linux is simple and easy to use. The first thing that intimidates people when they first try it out is the command line. We're used to graphical interfaces, such as those we have in Windows or Mac OS. The command line can seem quite scary. But after you use it for a few days, you begin to realize that it actually helps you do things faster. Because it's just you basically talking to a computer. You tell it what you want to happen, and that's quicker than clicking through buttons and menus. Plus, since you talk to your computer, you can tell it exactly what you want it to do. So it gives you more fine-grained control than a graphical interface can offer. Think about this. On Ubuntu, to install Nginx, you just type sudo apt install Nginx. Bam, job done. Nginx will even automatically start up, configured to display a simple web page. Now do the same on Windows. Can you install Nginx this fast on Windows? So rest assured, Linux is quite easy to learn. Does it take time? It sure does, but it's a straightforward one step at a time process. It's almost like learning a new language, but it's not as hard as Chinese or German. It's just plain English words with a bit of syntax. By the time you write your 100th command, you'll understand pretty well how it works. On to point number 2, future-proof skills. More and more stuff runs on Linux. Servers, cloud infrastructures, watches, phones, entertainment systems in cars, and aeroplanes. It's safe to say that more and more things will use Linux in the future. So people that have skills in this area will be needed for many years ahead. And that's always nice to know, because you will invest hundreds of hours to develop your Linux superpowers. But for the time you invest now, you'll be rewarded for many years to come. Reason number 3 is Linux will teach you about the cloud. Almost everything runs in the cloud these days, and it can be a bit hard to understand how to interconnect the various pieces in that cloud. But Linux can offer some training wheels, so to speak. On Linux, you'll often connect many programs with each other to build some sort of system. And you'll also connect servers with each other to build an even bigger, more complex system. As you connect and configure various components, you start to understand these structures better. You start to understand how you can optimize them, make them work faster. You learn how to make them resilient so they don't break down easily. Engineers building systems in the cloud have to follow very similar principles. They also take various little pieces, connect them to each other, and build large systems. So you find out the skills that you learn with Linux are very valuable when you shift in the cloud space. You'll have a much easier time understanding the cloud. You'll already know how to build elegant, efficient, resilient systems. At number 4 is Linux opens up a lot of career choices. As a developer, if you have 8 years experience with Java, the next company will usually want you to work with Java. They want to take advantage of your experience in that language. So if you suggest that you want to work with C++ instead, they might feel like it's not the best idea. The Linux career path, however, is much more flexible. It might seem that if you learn how to administer Linux servers, that's all there is to it. You're a sysadmin and it's a dead end, but Linux has a way to force you to learn about many other things in the process, and it makes it a bit easier to branch off in other directions if you want to. As mentioned, it's easy to shift to the cloud. You can become a cloud architect, or if you want a much higher salary, you can shift into DevOps. In rich countries, the salary for DevOps jobs is around or over $10,000 a month. And at KodeKloud, we have a special set of courses to get you ready for this career. But let's say one day you feel like life is boring. Want some excitement? You can always become a security architect. There's always something happening when you try to protect an infrastructure from hackers. Finally, at number 5, it's an interesting job with lots of diversity. Unfortunately, a lot of jobs involve doing pretty much the same thing over and over again. In fact, the better you become at that job, the more boring it becomes. You get more experienced and the challenge totally disappears. Everything becomes automatic. You become a well-trained robot, perfectly doing its job. Some people like easy, repetitive work, but they're usually an exception. Most people don't like that type of work as it bores them out of their mind. Linux is incredibly diverse. It runs on many different types of devices and it can be used in so many different ways. The problems you'll need to solve will be very diverse. Us human beings usually enjoy diversity. We get bored of the old. We are more fascinated by new things, new situations. Jobs in this Linux world are rarely repetitive. And when experienced sysadmins encounter repetitive things, they usually automate them. They don't have to manually do them again in the future. They teach the servers how to do the boring stuff. Then they can relax, or fix some problems that are more interesting. Will Linux annoy you sometimes? It sure will. On occasion, you will chase a problem for hours or days, and you won't be able to figure it out. Or you won't be able to fix it in a satisfactory manner. You'll fix something, and it will break again the next day. It'll be frustrating, but it will also be satisfying when you finally solve a hard problem. You'll feel smart, you'll feel you brought a valuable contribution to the world. You achieved something important. So, it's a love-hate relationship with Linux. But that's good. As some of you know, other jobs are simply a hate relationship. They're always boring and you hate them every day. Or maybe you don't quite hate them, but you feel a bit dead inside after doing the same old thing for months. Nothing interesting happens. Do you want to avoid that? Choose a Linux career. Things are dynamic, a roller coaster of happy days mixed in with difficult days. Wouldn't you rather have it that way?